balance your public school or academic school, your studies, your secular studies, which means your other subjects like math, science, English, those subjects that you learn in school, how to balance them, how to balance that life, and how to balance Islamic studies. Right? For example, one part of that Islamic studies is what Hafiz Usman mentioned, which is the Quran, which is probably the greatest part of Islamic studies, is learning the Quran. So how do we balance that type of life? Because sometimes we find that life is so opposite. It's so different, right? Right? I'm especially speaking to the kids here. We find that life is so different. We have to go to the school. We have to dress a certain way. We have to speak a certain way. We have a certain code of ethics. We have a certain way that we have to behave. And then when we come home, it's time for madrasa. We have to maybe put on different clothes. And make sure that we're covering properly. Make sure our topi is on. Make sure that we're entering the masjid with the right foot. Make sure we're reading the dua. Make sure we have the wudu. Make sure we're not carrying our Quran with us, our qa'idah. Different type of life. Make sure we're listening to the qari, to the hafiz. Right? Make sure we're doing our studies. We find that there's a contrast in life. In these two types of lives. Sometimes we think we're living two types of lives. We have a double life. One in school, one in madrasa, one in the masjid, and maybe one different one at home, maybe three lives, who knows. We find that we're superheroes. Right? We're trying to be Superman, and it's tough, it's difficult, because not everybody can live many types of lives. So how do we deal with that? Be yourself. Be yourself. Live one type of life, okay? And that type of life is be a good Muslim. If you be a good Muslim, you're going to be good in school, you're going to be good in madrasa, you're going to be good at home, you're going to be good with your parents, you're going to be good with your friends, you're going to be good with your qari sahib, teacher, hafiz. Everything is going to fall into place for you. Be a good Muslim. Now, what does that mean, being a good Muslim? Now we have to learn how to be a good Muslim. Now, Islamic studies is different from school studies in many ways. But the main way that I find, after thinking about this and reflecting on this, is that in school studies, we learn lots of things in school, but we don't get the chance to implement them right away. It takes time. We don't get the chance to act upon those things right away. We learn many, for example, math. Take math as an example. We learn so many addition, subtraction, multiplication, division, and we get lots of homework. But are we actually implementing that in our life yet? No. You're probably going to be implementing it when you get a job, which is after maybe college, university, inshallah you get a degree. When you get into your field, then you're probably going to be starting to use those skills. The thing with Islam is, when you learn Islamic knowledge, you start practicing right away. It's very practical. Very practical. You learn how to do wudu, start doing wudu. Right? You learn how to eat with your right hand, you have to start eating with your right hand. You learn the du'as, you start implementing the du'as. You don't have to wait. For example, some of our students, what did we learn? When we get angry, what do we recite? So now you know, you learn the Islamic knowledge. Now it's in the back of your head. Anytime you get angry, what are you going to say? We also learned that when you do anything good, before you do anything good, what do you say? Bismillahir-Rahmanir-Rahim. Right away, when anything now that you do good from now on, you start implementing that thing. So we see that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made Islam a practical religion. It's not a theoretical religion. You see? And mashallah, the people who are in university have graduated, they are shaking their heads because they know the difference between practice and theory. Because even in university and college, you learn lots of theory. Like Hafiz was mentioning, the theory of evolution. It's a thought, it's an idea. It's not the reality. The Quran, this is why Hafiz was saying Quran is more important. Because Quran for us is the reality, is the haqiqah. Whatever Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, is mentioning in the Quran, Whatever the Prophet ﷺ is mentioning in his hadith, these are realities for us. These are practical elements for us. These are not theories. These are realities. These are facts for us, for Muslims. So we have to make that distinction between theory and fact. Theory is an idea. You're going to come across many ideas in school. This idea, that idea, doesn't mean that it's always true. But when it comes to the Quran, we have to know that every single verse of the Quran is the truth. When it comes to the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, and especially those hadith that are authentic, and we know that they are sahih, and we know that they are well known from the ulama who are quoting them, then we should know that these hadith are the truth. They're not fabricated. They are the words of the Prophet ﷺ. So, in that sense, Islamic education is a form of education which you can start acting on right away. Right away. You learn something, you act upon it. This is why, as you are going in school, and you're learning new things in school, you should already be implementing Islamic studies while you're in school. Because Islamic education is practical. You should be a good Muslim while you're going to school. And it's not, and our deen is, mashallah, a balanced deen. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the Quran, says in the Quran, الْيَوْمَ أَكْمَلْتُ لَكُمْ دِينَكُمْ. This was, in one opinion, this was the last verse that was revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Allah said that today I have perfected for you your religion, perfected. So Allah has perfected Islam. وَأَتْمَمْتُ عَلَيْكُمْ نِعْمَتِي, and I have completed my favor upon you, Allah is saying. وَرَضِيتُ لَكُمُ الْإِسْلَامَ دِينًا, and I am pleased for you as Islam as your religion. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is telling us in the Quran that not only is this deen perfect, not only has Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala completed His favor on us and done a great favor to us through this deen, at the same time Allah is pleased with us that we practice Islam. And He has made us a balanced religion. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that His creation have to work. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we have to go to school. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows that we have other responsibilities. That's why He has made this religion and the rules in this religion and the Sharia a way that we can implement this deen in everything that we do. Whether it be going to school, whether it be working, whether it be interacting with one another, whether it be in our homes, whether it be even in the bathroom. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His beloved Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam has given us the rules of how to interact in every single place. You know, some of the Sahaba, they used to, some of the kuffar, they used to say, they used to make fun that, oh, the Prophet ﷺ even taught you how to use the bathroom. They used to make joke of that. But then the Sahaba said, yes, the Prophet ﷺ taught us. And the Prophet ﷺ said, yes, I have been sent as a teacher. Right? And look, that's such a big favor. The Prophet ﷺ has taught us how to purify ourselves. Even in the bathroom, step in the washroom with your left foot. Make sure you read the dua before you go. How to wash, how to clean yourself. Everything is, this Islamic knowledge is practical. And we can use it anywhere we go. We can use it at school. We can use it at work. Right? So we have to use this Islamic knowledge, which is already balanced. And we have to implement that in our secular studies. Now, wherever there's a clash meaning, wherever there is, like Hafiz was saying, when we see something which is against the Sharia, against the Quran, a clash, then you have to always give the benefit of the doubt to Islamic studies. Right? But you also have to know that the secular system, the education system in Canada at least, and North America, and in the West mostly, it's based on separation of church and state. What does that mean? Separation of church and state? That means before, religion and learning was together. People would learn about religion and they would learn about their other sciences and other subjects together. But nowadays, over the last century or so, what they did is they want to separate religion from the other studies. This is a fitna. This is a fitna because they want to keep religion away. And they want to bring science to the forefront. Now, how can we battle that? This doesn't mean, okay, start quoting ayahs of the Quran in school. No. It's not going to work. They're going to be like, why are you bringing ayahs of the Quran in school? Right? But you have to do it in a smart way. Right? Because you can prove science from the Quran. There are many things which the Quran has already revealed. More than 1400 years ago when it was revealed to the Prophet ﷺ, that science is discovering now and still hasn't discovered yet. They haven't even discovered, not even a little portion of what's in the Quran. We can teach other people about this. We can teach our friends about this. We can mention this. For example, the birth of the... Yes?
I know a good example.
Yes.
In the Quran it says that humans were like made out of clay and like dirt. And I read in a book that the closest thing to replicate our skin is actually dirt.
SubhanAllah, see? Amazing. See, you did the research, you read. Great. MashaAllah. See, so you can, the Quran, you can use the verses of the Quran, and then science is trying to prove that one. This is an example. Another example is the birth of the human being. The different stages of the birth of the human inside the stomach of the mother, we find that this is already mentioned in the Quran. The different stages. And there was no technology then. And there was no ultrasound that you can go and find out what's going inside in the womb of the mother. More than 1400 years ago. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed that this is the stage, at this stage the baby is like this, at this stage the baby is... So that's proof that the Quran is the truth. That is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And science, when they look at those ayat, when they look at those verses now, they get perplexed and they say, subhanAllah. Some of them, if they're sincere, they become Muslim. They see that this is the word of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you see that Islam is practical religion. And we have the answers to our social, scientific, psychological, mental problems. We find the solutions in the Quran. We find the solutions in the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. We find the solutions in our deen, in our religion. So it's already a balanced religion. Right? When we learn how to pray, the Prophet ﷺ taught us how to pray. He said, teach the child to pray. At what age? Who knows? 7 years old. Prophet ﷺ said, start teaching the child Salah at 7. Such a young age. See the difference between Islamic and secular. The secular system, they're teaching you, so you can start implementing when you get older. Right? Or when you get a job. Then you can start implementing your knowledge, putting it into use. Islamic education, start learning the prayer at 7. Practical. Right? And if you're 10 years old and you don't know how to pray, Prophet ﷺ said you can give punishment to the child. Right? Now your father and mother can punish you. They can give you a punishment. The Prophet ﷺ said. Why? Because you're not 10, you're not praying. So we should all know, inshallah, that once we're 10 years old, we should, especially start learning at 7 years old. And if you're coming close to 10, then make sure that you're ready, inshallah. Right? And alhamdulillah, I'm happy that some parents are here, that this encourages. Because the greatest way to balance Islamic and secular education is to have a healthy family system. If your parents are communicating with the children, children are communicating with the parents, this is the main thing. Understanding. There's understanding in the home. Right? The parents are practicing together the Islam. They're implementing Islamic studies. Right? If you have a question, you ask your parents. Your parents are talking to you. There's always communication. Right? Another aspect of practicing Islam against our secular system is that there are many things in Islam which are haram, but in the secular system they're halal. Not halal, but they're allowed. Okay? Especially after a certain age. They say, okay, at a certain age you can start doing this in the secular society. For example, alcohol, drinking, haram. Absolutely haram. It doesn't matter if you're 100 years old or if you're 2 years old. Absolutely forbidden, right? You cannot drink intoxicants or smoke intoxicants. This is forbidden from the Quran, right? But in the secular society, they say once you're legal age, you're allowed to do it. Now, this is a clash, right? Secular society is saying it's legal. when you get 18, 19 years old.
What does legal mean?
Legal means that it's allowed by law. By law, you're allowed to do it. That's what legal means. Illegal means it's not allowed by law. Okay? So secular society, our society, Canadian society says it's legal. But from the Quran, it's saying it's illegal. It's haram. That means we always have to give priority to the Sharia. You have to give priority to the Sharia. If it's not saying it's haram, that's the haqq. That's the truth. Why? Because the laws of the country have been made by human beings. The laws of the country have been made by human beings. They can make mistakes. And human beings make lots of mistakes. But the laws of the Quran are made by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not make mistakes. And He only does what He knows is good for us. If He tells us no drinking, no smoking, Allah knows this is good for us. And if you research how the Prophet ﷺ said, alcoholism, drinking alcohol is the root of all evil. Is the root of all evil. And look at how much problems are caused by alcoholism. Research the topic. Go on Google. Do a project. Find out alcoholism. How much problems it causes. It causes family problems. It causes health problems. To not only you, it causes dysfunctional families. It causes you to separate from your parents. It causes drunk driving, which leads to accidents, which sometimes leads to fatal accidents. How many evil things are coming from one thing? Alcoholism. It causes divorces. It causes breakups. So many things, yes.
I did an essay on this. I searched it, but I don't know which country this is, but after 7 years old, I forgot which country, but you're allowed to drink alcohol after 7 years old.
I was 7 years old, astaghfirullah. Why would a 7-year-old need to drink alcohol? Right? And why is this country allowed? So again, see, we have to look at what the Quran is saying. Allah knows what is good for us. Now you're going to find in society, they're going to make marijuana legal. You know, weed, as we say in school, or this drug that you smoke, they're going to make that legal to buy and sell that drug. And many, yes?
I've seen I've seen in the city, there's a bunch of, there was a store, it was a weed store, and people were like, so many people were going in and out.
Yeah, people going in and out and buying this, right?
And people were standing outside smoking.
And smoking, right? So we know from our religion this is haram. We don't have to give in to pressure. Many of you, you're going to see this in school. Some of you are too young, some of you are approaching you can find these things in middle school even. Nowadays it's even in middle school, grade 7 and 8. At that young age you can find these things. Right? So you have to be aware. If someone tells you, do this, don't just be like a donkey and follow them. You have to be a person who knows what's right and what's wrong. And our parents, if we don't know, we have to ask our parents what's right and what's wrong. Ask the imams what's right and what's wrong. Right? And if someone comes to you and gives you something, don't take it from them. It could be anything. Even I say trick-or-treating, don't do trick-or-treating. Halloween is coming now. Yes?
You know what, the funny thing about Halloween is that the parents of the kids always say, don't take candy from strangers, yet they go out trick-or-treating and be like, they're all so happy, and they take from random strangers they don't even know.
They don't even know, exactly. We don't need to do that as Muslims. If you want, I can give you candy. Come see me. We'll have lots of candy in the masjid for you. As long as you know it's halal, you know it's wholesome, you know it's coming from the masjid, your parents will buy you candy. You don't need to go door to door and beg people for candy. No, a Muslim doesn't need to do that. We have been taught better than that. We're people who give, not people who need to beg. Prophet ﷺ said, be givers, don't be beggars.